It's the Two Gems Podcast.
Hey.
Why would I put a candy in my mouth the second we start?
I don't know. You love those smart sweets.
They're so good.
Was that your favorite kind?
No, it's my least favorite.
Oh, really? I think that's the one I like the most so far. This is the Sour Blast Buddies by Smart Sweets Candy.
Yeah, it's very good. You can eat a whole bag of it, and it's only 3 grams of sugar, and they taste amazing. And I think there's, 120 calories in a bag?
I don't know. It doesn't say.
Well, you took the other side, but
sorry.
It's 120 or 130, one or the other. But you can like sit around and eat these things like relatively guilt-free, and they're good. Anyway, how is everybody? It's Monday. We're recording. This is 2 weeks in a row. We're like getting ahead of ourselves a little bit here. It's awesome. We're back. Sheridan, you look wonderful today.
Thanks, hon. You always say that when my hair's slicked back.
Yeah, I'm into it when you're slicked back. It's aerodynamic. It's sexy.
Yeah, thank you. And it's funny because it's the least amount of work.
Hey, you look great.
Thanks, hon. How are you?
I'm good.
Oh my God, Matt got his ears pierced.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got
Notice
it.
anything different from his side profile?
How's my side profile look? I got both of them done.
So
both
tell
ears.
everyone how this came to fruition because I didn't even know it was happening.
I don't know. I keep kind of laughing like internally in the walls of our house. I'm like, am I having a midlife crisis?
Now would be the time. You're almost 40.
Yeah, I think I am.
Is that what this, like, what is the definition of a midlife crisis?
No, I think it's when you're in the middle of your life and a crisis is happening. I don't know. I don't know. I truly, firmly believe that age is just a number. Jordan, are you over there Googling what a midlife crisis is? You know what it is. It's the middle of your life and shit's crazy. You start like second guessing things.
Yeah, but I think from what I'm reading, a lot of it is actually sad stuff, like a persistent, sad, negative, generally empty mood, increased irritability and a shorter fuse, feelings of anxiety. So I imagine when people do drastic things, it's to try and alleviate all of those symptoms, right? But no, I think you're just having fun. I mean,
just enjoying my life.
I think your life has changed a lot in the last, 3 months, I guess?
Yeah.
I would say somebody actually messaged me not long ago and I think you had, I know, because you had posted that story in your shoes talking about like your health and fitness and stuff.
Yeah.
And I shared it.
Yes.
And I said, love this guy or whatever. And somebody messaged me and they're like, I was wondering if Matt was still on his fitness journey. Like, good for him. That's awesome. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, like right now it's been, oh my God, I think it's 3 months to the day tomorrow. I'm down 22 and a half pounds.
That's awesome.
I feel wonderful. I have it's funny, I'd say I have a lot of energy, but at the same time, I find like I've been sleeping really well because
you're tired.
I'm actually like exerting energy during the day. I work out probably 6 days a week now. And they're not like really aggressive workouts really. Like usually they take like 20 to 30 minutes. Which is like, I'm sure people listening are like, how do you find 20 to 30 minutes a day? But you just kind of you have to kind of just do it.
For sure.
And that's where the discipline kind of comes into it in life. It's like with anything, like, everybody has the same 24 hours. Like, how do you want to allocate your time? And I've been like trying to find that like window of like 20 to 45-ish minutes, like every day to just like get my heart moving and stuff, which is so funny for me because I'm like the opposite of that up until a few months ago. I would never be this guy. And here I am.
Well, I was going to say, let's talk quickly about how, you were nervous to start and you're like, I haven't worked out since I was like 16 and you tried that P90X or whatever it was called. And I think you were very nervous as most people would be to start doing exercises and to start doing things that you're unfamiliar with. And it can be kind of scary to take that jump. And I even remember like the very first day or couple days that you had done it, you were so proud of yourself. You're like, I can't even believe it. Like me, I'm, getting up and I'm doing these exercises and I'm following the YouTube videos and the instructions. And it just felt nice for you to even realize that you could do that, right?
Well, I honestly wondered if I would drop dead doing it.
Right.
I'm serious. Like I know on camera, like people are probably like, "Me, like what?" But I like all my buddies keep saying, "Man, you're so good at hiding your weight." Like I just wear double XL tees now, and I would just kind of hide it and whatever. And
well, to be fair, and just to say, your weight was mostly in your stomach.
Yes.
Everything else on your body was very lean. Like you had lean legs, like a nice little bum, like lean arm. It really just fell on your belly. So I think that is why it looked so mass, because it was just a belly and you could cover that with your t-shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I feel good. Yeah. I don't even really want to talk about this much because it's kind of like redundant. Like you and I, it's like
redundant for you and I because this is all Matt talks about. But this is Matt to a T. This is who he is as a human. He gets obsessed with something, and it's really hard for him to get off of it. And I think this is a good thing for you to be obsessed with because you feel great. Yeah.
Here's the thing: when you look after yourself and your health. Yeah. That actually ripples into every other thing in your life.
Absolutely.
Everything else.
I get it.
It's unlike anything else. Like if I get really good at playing basketball or I don't know, like really good at chess or something, whatever the heck it is, that doesn't really have much bearing on the rest of your life. But when you look after your health and your mindset and your wellness, it actually has a ripple effect to every other thing. Right. You and I have been better. I find I'm a better father. I don't know if you've noticed it. I'm way more just regulated. I don't like have these like giant ups and downs all the time. And a part of it's probably because I don't have a lot of sugar going into my body anymore. Like
well, you even said your mom had said when you were a kid and you ate sugar, you were kind of a different guy. And I do think I myself have noticed some major mood regulation in you. Yeah. Which has been really nice, and I'm sure nice for you to feel more level-headed and not so up and down. Yeah. And I agree with you. I think, when you start taking care of yourself, and I can even say that in terms of just being a mom and not to take credit away from you, but when I start focusing on myself and take care of me, everything else is better, right? Yeah. The marriage, the kids, everything, because you're focusing on yourself, which is most important above all else. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel really good.
Yeah.
I've never really felt better, honestly, especially in my adult life. Like going through my 30s, I've never like felt better inside than I do right now.
That's great.
Yeah,
and then he got his ears pierced.
yeah. So anyway, it's funny. So this whole like midlife crisis is like all of a sudden my ears are pierced. I came over to Daphne's the other day and my ears were pierced. And Sheridan's like, what? I'm like, I don't know. It's just kind of feel.
Fun fact though, every person that I've said this to, I'm like, Matt got his ears pierced. They're like, weren't they already pierced? So obviously you were meant to have pierced ears.
It looks good, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, it looks good on you.
Does it turn you on?
Yeah, very, very much.
It does it?
Oh yeah. Let's go.
Should we pause this episode? Because my ears are pierced?
No, it looks good on you, hon.
Sheridan, how are you feeling? How are you feeling life now?
I'm good. The goal for 2024 for me is to...
Is it a resolution?
No, a goal. Okay. Very different.
Okay.
Is to use our entire house. Yeah. Use our house in its entirety. I don't think we're the only ones that do this. I think a lot of people have a home and there's just wasted space. Yeah. Whether they don't go into that room or they use something as a storage room. I mean, granted, sometimes you need the storage, but I think a lot of people live in a home where they don't go to every single room. Yeah. I just think. And I think that's natural because people kind of conglomerate to the same area. I get that. But like my goal this year for our family is to get everybody using every square inch of our house. So I've been tackling Kaya's room, and then Matt redid his office. This is office number 6.
Is that what it is?
I don't know. You've been in every room in this house.
Pretty much.
But I think this might be the best one.
It is the best one, without a doubt.
Yeah, well, this one's nice too because it used to be our playroom, but there was never really many toys.
/TV room.
Yeah, and the toys don't really sit out because I have a hard time with that sometimes. So it kind of looks like a mature playroom, and then the kids wouldn't really go in there. And then, our TV room when we watch a movie. But that was really the only time it was getting used, when we sit and watch a movie.
And for reference, it is probably square footage-wise the biggest room in the house.
Oh, you think?
What room would be bigger?
Yeah.
Like as far as like the actual, like if you look at a bird's eye view of the lines, like the perimeter of the room, I think it's maybe not. It's a big room though. The fact that it was just wasted space is crazy.
It is crazy. So now Matt's office is in there, but there's also, we kept the TV and the couch, and now I find the kids are in there more than ever.
They are.
And playing video games, which is great because they wouldn't come hang out with Matt in here. This is where his office was, in the podcast room, because there wasn't really anywhere to go or sit. And so I find we're all kind of hanging out in there now. And it's really nice. So next up is, beside that room was the guest room. And although I loved the guest room, why did it turn into the guest room when it was my office? I can't even remember.
It was the only place there could be one.
because we turned this into the podcast room.
Because that's turned into the podcast room.
Right.
And
So
my
I
office.
had worked so hard on that room. I had brainstormed. I had Pinterest. I had sat in that room for hours trying to make it the perfect office for me. And then I did. And I loved my office. And I feel like it was only my office for like the smallest amount of time. And then this came in, and then we moved it all into the guest room. And I love having a guest room. I do. I think it's nice that when people come down, they can have a place to stay where they feel cozy and comfortable. But again, wasted space. You know what I mean? Like,
sorry, everybody that comes down.
But we don't actually.
You're going on the couch or an Airbnb.
But we don't really have that many. We don't really have that many guests come down. So it's like, yeah, it looks pretty when you walk in, but oh well.
It's
so
wasted.
Instead, we're going to turn that into a huge playroom, and then I think I'll just get a sectional couch that has a couple like pieces that can like full like modular come together, and people can sleep on there. Yeah. And then that space will be used too. And when people come over with their kids, it's like, go away, go in the playroom, go have fun, see you later. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. I think that's kind of what I've been doing this January. I mean, work is genuinely slower. Brands are kind of getting all their stuff, like all their fish in a row. Is that what you say? Duck in a row? Fish in a row?
Yeah, get your fish in a row. Get your fish in a row.
They're getting all their ducks in a row. Yeah.
What's that term mean, Sheridan?
Ducks, literal ducks in a row,
What does it even
right?
mean? What ducks are in a row?
Well, don't they all kind of go in a row and then they jump into the water? Google that so I don't sound like an idiot.
No,
but I'm pretty
Google
sure
it.
ducks in a row.
That is it.
Yeah.
It's just I have no idea where it came from. Get your ducks in a row. It's like, okay.
So this is kind of one of actually my favorite times in the year because I find things are pretty slow, and it gives me a time to focus on, reorganizing, purging, getting ready for 2024. Why are you giggling? What?
Because I know you so well.
What do you mean?
You're just so cute.
Huh?
I just think you're really cute. That's all.
Why are you?
Because you love organizing stuff. It's like one of your favorite things to do. You love just like organizing, and
it's not organizing.
It's organizing.
That's not.
You
what
keep our whole life organized. Without you, we would be an absolute.
You would
disaster.
crumble. But it's that my brain literally feels lighter. Like how you feel now that you have this workout thing going on, and you go in there and you crush it, and you're like, that's how I feel when I just cleaned out our laundry room. I'm like, Like I walk by it now, I'm like, I know, and not even that because there's a difference between.
I turned you into such a cute little housewife.
There's a difference.
No, is that a bad thing to say? You're just so good at. Okay, is that a bad term? I don't know. You're just such a great housewife. Like this house sucks when you're not here.
Okay, let me finish what I was going to say. The last point I wanted to say was that there's a difference between putting things away because our house is tidy no matter what versus actually opening those things and getting rid of, right? So like in the laundry room, you might have walked by and thought it looked good, but I went through all the towels, all the things, and got rid of what we weren't using. So in my mind, I'm like, I know it's not there anymore,
Yeah.
And I love that feeling, and I know many can relate and can feel me on that one.
So what did I just say that just like turned you off there?
I mean,
what did I say? Did I say I turned you into a housewife? Is that what I said?
You did. And it's like,
okay, I don't know. It just kind of rolled off my tongue. It's, like, it's just like thinking about the fact that you keep this house in working order. Mm-hmm. It's not in me
so
to do
I think
it.
maybe you could have said, I'm so thankful for all that you do around the house instead of I turned you into a good housewife. That just sounded like.
Yeah, it sounded kind of weird.
Very like last
Oh my God, is that even what I said?
Yes. Everybody knows what you said.
No, it's not even what I said.
I'm so grateful you're cute is what you wanted to say.
If you're listening to this right now, it's not even what I said. Don't rewind it.
Yeah.
No, but like, okay, there's things that I'm really good at and men are really good at.
Sure.
And we actually like saw that woman talking about the other day on Instagram. It's how it's like, there's like a chemical in men and it's also in children. And when they play together, it like unleashes and whatever. Like I'm so good at like the cooking and like, the brushing of the teeth and the showering. There's just okay, fuck off.
It just sounded so funny.
There's stuff that I'm good at, and then there's other things that you are, and that's what makes us a team. Yes. If we were both good at cleaning and like drop the ball elsewhere, it's like, okay, we have a clean house, but everything else sucks. It's like I cook like great dinners that no one eats.
Yeah. Granted, I think that when you leave the house, it doesn't seem as different as when I do because I'm tidy, right? So when you leave, it's like you wouldn't know. But then when I leave, it's like it's a full-time job picking up after the kids and cleaning and tidying around here. I remember when I was younger and I didn't have kids, and I would think to myself, like a young, naive idiot. What do moms do that just stay home all day? Like, even if they don't have their kids at home anymore, you know, like even if they're off to daycare and school, whatever, like what do they do? Just like sit around and twiddle their fingers? And now it's like there is so much stuff that can constantly be done. Yeah. As an adult, like there's so many things to take care of.
You think if the kids were around, you'd have a lot to do?
100%.
No.
Boxes to tick. Oh, yeah.
Fuck no. You would run out of stuff to do very quick.
No.
It's the kids.
No.
Yeah, it is.
I disagree.
I disagree with you disagreeing.
The days aren't that long. By the time your kids get off. If it was just
me and you here, what would we do?
I could do so many things. I could start making soups. I could go for walks every day.
So you're saying invent new things to do?
No, I'm saying have the time to do the things that you could also be doing that I don't have the time to do right now.
Okay, but I was going to say, because your life right now is basically just like all the chaos that the children create in this house, you unchaos it.
Right.
Like that's literally the role you've taken in this house. If you remove the kids, you'd have a lot of time on your hands to like invent new things to do.
But there's still a lot of stuff to do around a household, even if you don't have children.
Yeah,
there is.
Yes, there is. But my God, those kids, like the amount of like waste they create and mess they create and beds that they mess up every day that you make for them and washing their clothes.
I don't find it's that bad though when they're not here. Like right now, it's like love that Kai's making her bed now. She made her bed. Her room was all up to snuff. If we didn't have kids, I'd still be doing laundry. Now I just have a little bit more laundry to do. I'd still be emptying the dishwasher. Yeah, but there's still stuff. I don't think your point's valid.
No, I agree there's stuff. It's just not to the magnitude of having 3 kids. Like every time the front door opens, Sage falls in the mud and there's like a whole new outfit that has to be washed. And like,
yes,
I could probably go with my clothes never being cleaned other than my undies and socks. Like I don't even leave the house barely.
Right.
Like this t-shirt, I'm going to take it off after this episode, put it back in my closet hung up. Like there's no reason to clean it.
Right.
Yeah. I don't really think I create much stuff here. It's all you and the kids.
Sure.
My. So anyway, life, hey? Life.
Where's my other slipper?
Can I have
it? I'm wearing the slippers that I bought Matt for Christmas. I knew this would happen.
So I'm going to say something on here because I think it's an interesting topic.
Woo!
But I'm not going to name names and I'm not going to get into details. Okay? I thought about this in my head and I'm like, I think I can talk about it.
Oh my.
No, I got a message last night from somebody, not naming names, not saying anything, but it was a couple that got married and they broke up and it made me really sad. Okay. And they got married a few years ago and I messaged him yesterday just to like wish him well in 2024 and he let me know that him and his wife have separated. Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen much of that in life yet. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think. Well, I mean, I've had at least one friend get a divorce, but I mean, we're not at the age where everything's crumbling yet for most people, I guess.
It's actually funny you mentioned that because I've noticed lately on Instagram, some of the women that are content creators, I can think of 3 that have gone through a divorce within the last year. And,
really?
And every time I'm like, oh, because you're right. I'm not used to seeing that now. And I don't know how long these people have been together, whether it's like 10, 15 years, 7 years, 8 years, long enough where it got to that point where I'm not surprised to see it necessarily. Because you're like, okay, yeah. Like I feel like there's kind of these like weird moments in time where like everything sort of crumbles. And, but I will say, and I am seeing a little bit more and I'm like, wow, is this when it's happening? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't picture life without you.
No.
Is that where I want to take this yet? I don't know. Okay, so I got this message last night, and he informed me of this. You were asleep, so you probably don't really remember, but I woke you up.
Yeah.
And you were like, it was funny because the room was completely dark, but there was like a shimmer of the moon or something on your eyes, and your eyes opened, and you were looking at me, and I could tell you were looking at me.
Weird.
Yeah, and And I was just telling you how much I love you and how much I appreciate you in my life. That's all I could think of when he was telling me this.
Sorry, I was asleep.
Well, and then he said to me, he's like, you know, I really admire your relationship with Sheridan. And like, hopefully one day, like I can find it kind of a thing, like that sort of a thing. And it was just like, yeah, I feel really fortunate to have you in my life.
Well, I think
and I hope.
Sorry.
No, I wish everyone could find the happiness that I have in my heart for you. I just really, really do. Like, I can't picture life without you. I really can't. Like, okay, sure. I probably could if I really tried, but it's like, I know we'll always be together. You're my best friend.
Yeah.
And like, you make me feel that way. I never need to guess it. Because in every relationship I've ever been in my entire life, for anyone that's wondering, I've had two relationships. Oh my God, you're so annoying with the yawning. I've had 2 relationships before
Have I yawned
you.
a bunch of times?
You do it in every episode. You get like tired, your ADHD kicks in. You're like,
it's too late. It's too late in the day for this.
No, so I've had 2 relationships before you that were really long. Like one of them was a 5.5 and one of them was like a 7.5 or something like that. So like I've been in these stretches before. Mm-hmm. And in all of them, there was always like is this going to pan out though?
You always felt that way.
I always kind of did. Like I could picture, sure, we could grow old together. But then there was always in the back of my head like is this it? Is this actually it? The one? With you, I've never felt that. Not even one time have I been like, is this woman the one? I know you are.
Well, I don't know if you were just talking and writing to write when we first started writing each other letters.
Oh God, are you about to?
No, I'm not going to unearth it. But when I posted that reel and you were writing me love letters, within the first, like, I don't know when that one was timestamped, but you're like, I know I'm marrying you. You're like, I know it. And I don't know if you always kind of felt that way and if you always sort of didn't have to wonder. But the idea of always wondering in the back of your mind, I imagine, is not a good feeling. And I remember feeling that way too in other relationships. And I don't even question it with you. But what I wanted to say before I forget my point with my ADHD was that you were able to give him some really good advice because you have been in that situation before where, you thought you were growing old with somebody else and then your life kind of turned upside down. And it was around this
drop of it.
Yeah. And I think it was around he's what, 28 or something, 30, let's say. And it's kind of around the time that you and I met when you were 28. And I think it can seem, like I just said in the truck, when we were talking about it this morning, like it can seem so scary, the unknown. Like it's not even that, for some people, sure, it might be like and I'm not saying for him directly, but it might feel like losing the love of your life and it's absolutely devastating and heart crushing.
It's his wife.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
But I'm saying even if that's not the situation and you don't feel that way with the person anymore, like let's just say, for example, some of the women I'm talking about that are splitting up with their husbands, whatever. I think just the idea of the unknown, and as you're getting older and you're not secure with that, like, I know what my future holds now, can be very scary and daunting. Yeah. No matter what, even if it's kind of exciting and you're like, wow, new life, new me, like I'm figuring out, I still think you're kind of like it's a big leap and it could be very scary for lots of people, I imagine. Yeah. And I bet you that's why a lot of people stay with their partner, even if they're not necessarily happy, because it's just comfort. It's familiar. Kind of how your life's going to pan out, and that's good enough for you, even though maybe it shouldn't be, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think too that, like, in life, there is so much uncertainty.
Right.
Like, you don't know if you're going to die tonight. Yeah. You don't know if you're going to have money coming in next month. Mm-hmm. You don't know if your car's going to break tomorrow. You don't know if Theodore may have fallen on the playground and needs stitches right now. Like, you don't know anything. Are we going to find out that, like, our children have, like, some buried illness that we don't know about that could like sprout up when Sage is 4 years old? I've seen that happen before. It's like there's just so much uncertainty in life. Mm-hmm. And when inside the walls of your house are comfortable and there's like some certainty within there with your partner, it's like, at least in this fucking crazy world, I have you. Yeah. That's nice. It's like a nice feeling. Like, I know that I will love you tomorrow, and I know I'll love you until I take my last breath. Like that kind of a feeling. Mm-hmm. And so like, I can't even imagine, like, for him, from how I understand it, it was like a relatively abrupt thing to happen. Okay. And like, so this man's entire, like, his rock is removed out of his life. Mm-hmm. So now all the things that are uncertain in life, he's now uncertain of the only things that he thought he was certain about. And, it's a feeling that I can relate to big time. Like, I remember when I was 28 years old and I was 28 and a half, and I lost what seemed like everything. Like, I went from having a stepson and a woman that I loved and a house. Like, we owned a house, our car, my motorcycle, like my job, like all these things. Like, I just had, like, life just seemed like it was all figured out. And then all of a sudden I lost everything. It was like and it was very like out of nowhere. It was like I woke up one morning, I was going to go to the bowling alley with Aiden, and all of a sudden it wasn't a thing anymore. We broke up right there. It was crazy after 7.5 years. So like I can definitely relate to how he's feeling right now, of just that feeling of emptiness. And like I remember personally feeling like death was simpler than this. I was like, the pain that I feel in my heart and my stomach and my brain and everything right now is like, I honestly, like, so there was days where I was laying there and I was like, man, I wish I wasn't even alive anymore. It would just be better to not even have to deal with this. And so, yeah, I told him that last night. I was like, you know, man, like there was days where I didn't even want to be alive anymore. And now only 10 years later, like, look at my life. I can't even imagine it any other way. I'm so content and happy now. And so I don't know. I wanted to bring this up just because if there's anyone that's listening right now that's like going through that heartache or that turmoil or that like uncertainty in your life, that, you know, I think if you keep a positive attitude and learn something from every situation that you go through in life, that, you know, there's an old saying, it's always darkest before dawn. And it's kind of cliche, but I do think that it rings true. Like when you're going through that shit, if you can remove yourself from the situation, it's easier said than done, that there is better things out there for you. If just making sure that you learn from things in life and live without regret. And I remember that when I left that relationship, it would have been easy to point fingers at my ex and just be like, it's all her fault. But I mean, like, it was mine too. By no means was I a perfect person at all. There was a lot of things about me that sucked. And I feel like I took a lot of those things and learned from them and grew from them. And now I can provide a better version of myself to me and you and our children. That if I didn't go through all those circumstances, I wouldn't have been a chapter in my life that I could provide for you. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I also do think another corny cliche that I also believe is true is that time heals all wounds. And it's hard because, you know, in a moment like that, when you're so down and out, you just want to fast forward. You're like, oh my God, get me out of this feeling. And then you look back on it 10 years later and you're like, wow, like I can't even imagine me being there anymore. Like time heals all wounds. I mean, and I'm not saying that it completely heals them, because I think there's a lot of grief that people go through in situations that I can't even relate to. But I think that time does help alleviate feelings, you know, versus when you're like first and right in it. So like the feeling that he feels, and again, my relationship with my ex was like very different. It was just, yours was very like normal and like normal stuff and whatever, and then it just kind of blew up, which is crazy. But for me, it was like toxic and wild. And so it was just a whole other feeling. But I remember, like, now that I look back on that, I'm like, that was insane, right? And at that time, I'm like nothing, like you know what I mean? And it's like, nothing will fix this. And it's like, well, I'm fine now, actually.
When you were talking, I just thought of like an analogy. Maybe this has been said before. It's probably one of your romance novels or something. But it's almost like when you go through stuff, it's like an open wound. It's like you get cut, like physically cut. And then over time it heals, and there's a scar there to remind you constantly of the shit that you went through. But like, it does heal up and harden, and the skin gets harder than ever. But you can look down and have that constant reminder, because I know who you're thinking of right now. And your contradiction to the statement, the time heals all wounds. I know exactly what you're talking about. It is one of those things that certain things in life, they'll never go away. It's just your skin gets thicker and you just kind of put up with it and move on with it.
I don't know if you want to like touch on this or not, and you can certainly say pass, but I feel like a lot of times when I do tell people about your story, and how you had a stepson for 7 years, or from by the time he was 6 months until he was like 7 years old, I think, which is basically now until Theo, right?
Yeah.
Birth until Theo.
I raised a Theo already.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I'm sure we touched on this back in like episode 1, but how you kind of chose a path to not necessarily be in each other's lives after a while. It took a while, right? Like it took us, because we would hang out with him.
It wasn't a long while, but yeah.
Yeah. And how that makes you feel now, this much later in life. And interestingly enough, like, do you want to tell the story about Jack Astor's and stuff and how you had been thinking about him. And again, like we don't need to name names here. That's fine. If you know the situation, you know it, but I'm not going to divulge personal information. But you were always very kosher with his biological father.
Yeah.
And we ran into them so randomly at Jack Astor's, him and his, I don't know if they're married now.
I'm not sure. I don't know if they are or not.
I think they were engaged at the time. So if you are married, congratulations. And anyway, he has a twin, so you weren't sure if it was him, right?
No, I knew it was him.
Oh,
Yeah,
but does he have an identical twin?
I don't know if the word identical is applicable, but they look identical.
Okay.
But you know how identical twins are like, oh, we're
Yes.
actually not identical, but we are.
Right. And so we ended up running into them, and like what turned into a quick hello actually ended up being us sitting down and having a beer.
Probably like
and
90
like,
minutes.
yeah, it was a really long
feature-length film.
It was a very long visit, and you actually asked him if he ever thinks about you, if you know, he ever
it's so
thinks
much
that-
easier to just say names and bleep them later. It's so hard to talk like
No, but that's
broken like that.
No, well, anyway, and he said, funny you should ask that because just the other day he looked at his phone screen and it was a photo of you and him when he was a baby.
Mm-hmm.
What's the photo? The one, was it walking up the hall? That
Yeah,
one?
it was. I remember it. I remember the night perfectly. Like I lived in on Pleasant Street in Dartmouth, in like a housing complex thing, like these big brick buildings down there, and I remember it was this rainy, cold fall night, and yeah, I remember I went out in my like rain windbreaker thing, and I had a pair of shorts on with these big basketball shoes and shit. And Aiden, I'll bleep these names later, but Aiden was wearing like his little rain suit thing. And honestly, the pictures that you put up of Theo and I yesterday, it's like almost like the identical size and everything as the little photos of Theo. Like he had to reach up to get my hand, and I had to kind of hold my arm down. And him and I walked up to the corner store that was up the street in the rain that night, and God, I don't know what his favorite snack was back then, maybe Cheetos or something like that. But I went up and took him to the store and got him like a little bag of Cheetos or something like that. And that to him would have been like the highlight of his life, right? Going to get a little bag of Cheetos.
So it's funny. Funny's not the right word, but when you and I first got together, I didn't have kids yet, right? So I didn't experience, what you experienced for such a long time. And I don't think I understood. Like I had been around kids and I was already in the teaching world and stuff. And like I loved children, but I didn't understand necessarily that bond that you could form and how that can just be taken away from you, right? And now that I have kids, I actually find I think about it more than I ever did.
I mean, of course.
Right, because now I can understand and I can relate to it a little bit more. And I remember when he told you that, like, that was his phone background, I'm pretty sure you had a couple tears rolling down your cheeks. And then, we kind of drove away from that.
I did. I was in a restaurant with her ex and his father crying.
Right.
I was at the restaurant crying, for sure.
Yeah, and I guess I always wonder what you think. I mean, I don't really ask you very often, but like, I'm sure you still think about him often. Yeah.
I mean, it's faded away a lot. I mean, it's not like it once was. I remember like the first, we're not talking months, we're talking like years, like, the first probably 5 years or something. I think of him.
Well, he was still in our lives for quite a while.
It wasn't that long. It was probably like 4 months or something.
No, that's not true because I was pregnant with Kaya and he came to your party, to your birthday party. Over on Guy Street, but it had kind of slowly,
maybe a year or something like that.
It was slowly getting like lesser and lesser.
But I mean, there was a point in time where I was very much still involved, and then I ducked out. That's probably too much detail, but there was reasons for it. It was just kind of, it was feeling weird. It felt like it was hurting him, and it was hurting me being around each other. So I just made the call. I was like, I'm just gonna make the tough call and rip the Band-Aid off here, and just kind of like duck out for a bit. Mm-hmm. And where are you going with this?
I guess I'm just
like where I'm at in life now.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you're ever thinking like, because I know we always make the joke because I don't know how old he is now, but he's certainly a teenager, and you're like, there's gonna come a time where I'm gonna run into him in the liquor store, And I guess just curious if like you do want to have that conversation and do take him out, or like where you're feeling with that.
Well, I also like.
And, I think too, because he has a very present father and biological father, right? And he's very involved, that the situation's a little different. Like, I believe if he didn't, that you probably would have continued to stay in his life. You know what I mean? But it's like he has a dad and a great dad. So that kind of, I think, made you feel a little bit more like, okay, well, I'm able to do that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's... No, I honestly haven't given it a whole lot of thought in a while. Just because I kind of made my mind up a long time ago that I was just going to stay out of this.
Yeah.
And just stay away from it. But, you know, at the same time, if I put myself in his shoes and think about it, like I probably would want to see the person that was raising me for some of the most important years of my life. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are we crying now?
Oh, I'm doing everything it would take to not, but cries every episode.
Yeah.
But, no, but you know, there's a 7-year void of his life where he doesn't even know the person that raised him. Mm-hmm. It's literally the same age as Theodore. So you can look at him and imagine that if I disappear, because that's what I was to him.
Yeah.
That's what I was. I was what I am to Theo. Mm-hmm. And like, sure, he wasn't extracted from my ball sack, right. But I mean, he was still my son. Yeah. I raised him just as much as Jason did. Mm-hmm. And you know, if I think long and hard about it and really try and put myself in that situation, I mean, it would be like, imagine if Theodore just had this void of not knowing the man that was there up until this point in his life. Yeah. It'd be brutal, honestly.
Right. So sometimes I wonder, and it's so interesting because I think that you're the first person that would want to reach out and go out and meet and have something. So I feel like there's something that's holding you back from it.
Yeah,
and I don't know what it is. And
I know a part of what
that's why I'm trying to divulge it on here so you can let it go.
Like Dr. Phil
over
here today.
But I'm almost surprised.
I know the answer.
Oh, sure.
I can tell you what most of the answer is.
Okay.
I don't want to step in and be the reason that he feels a certain way about other people in his life.
I see.
Like, because how am I going to sit there? Right. How am I going to sit there having a burger with this kid or whatever the hell it is and have him go, so like, what happened? And then what am I supposed to go, oh, I'm just a piece of shit and decided I would leave. Right. Or am I going to tell him the truth about what happened and then have him all of a sudden, like, I don't want to be the one to fuck up whatever's going on in his life right now.
That's a good point.
And I'm not a liar. I mean, if he asks me, I'm just going to tell him straight up in the nicest way possible. I mean, I don't know. It would be really hard to sit there. I don't want to be the reason that he hits a new fork in the road in his life with certain people. Like,
But you might be surprised at how much meeting with you and chatting could actually change his view of life. And, you know, here we are talking about, like, that's your biggest thing. You always talk about, like, the decisions you make and the course you take and how that one moment changed your whole life. And I'm not sitting here saying that you're going to go change his whole life just by one conversation, but you could change the whole trajectory. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it would change the whole trajectory of his life. And I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, now all of a sudden he's the next Warren Buffett. I don't mean like that. I just mean like it would fill a void that I'm 100% sure is in his life, and make him think differently about things. A lot of things in life. Yeah. How to be a man, how to take responsibility, like, you know, just those things. Like that one conversation would absolutely change a lot in that kid's life for sure. It's brutal.
This is on topic, but off topic. So we'll get off that topic a little bit. But I actually think if more people were willing to sit down and have constructive conversations with people from their past, that it would fill voids and answer questions, like even with exes, like line them all up, bring them all here, pop them on the podcast. No, but I'm serious because I think that you could have very like healthy conversations that maybe like help you think differently about yourself or about really anything, you know, because I think no matter what, maybe when you leave a relationship, I'm not talking about your past anymore, but just in general, when you leave a relationship, there's always like unanswered questions, unless you just sit down and have a full-on conversation about it. But in general, I think that you kind of walk away and you're like, what? You know, like you have questions that you want answered. And I wish more people would like sit down and have those conversations, even if it's 5 years later.
Do we start a new show?
Yeah, it's just me and all of my exes and you and your
It's 82 episodes.
I didn't have that many boyfriends, thanks.
My show's relatively short. Sheridan's got a bit of meat on here though. A couple years.
Two-side VHS. No, anyways. I do. I think that I actually think people don't talk enough. That's another thing.
You could be a mediator.
No, but exes. I am a good mediator. But I also think that that's another issue with people is that there's not enough conversation. And I don't like that people don't have those conversations, even like if you're ending friendships or if there's like a situation you have with somebody that's not really a friend, but like, I don't know, somebody in your life, and you just never talk about it. And then it's just weird. And it's like, why can't you just come up to me and explain the issue and have a constructive conversation and then move along?
Yeah.
Why don't more people do that? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Maybe they're nervous. But, sorry, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I don't want to interrupt. No.
No, you have something to say, and I lost mine now.
No. What I was gonna say is like tying it back to my friend that messaged me last night, and if it is as abrupt and out of left field as it seems as though it may have been for him, and I'm only hearing one side of the story, but I'm sure that he would have a lot of unanswered questions himself, like, what's been going on and stuff? Like, I know I had a lot of questions and none of them got answered.
Well, now's the time. Matt's podcast is coming up.
I got a spicy one.
Could you imagine? Whoo, that would be fun.
Oh my God, could you imagine if I brought Aiden onto this show?
Wow.
Now that'd be weird. It'd be weird to put him in that seat, but man, that'd be a crazy episode though of life.
Well, I know we've talked a lot about like the idea of maybe bringing people in and just like kind of trying to work around that.
Man, that'd be crazy. That conversation.
Well, that conversation between which I do.
It could be an important conversation to have recorded for just like life.
Totally.
For people to like watch and understand how to interact with someone that was in your life before that. Man, it would be crazy for sure.
It would be crazy for sure.
But I think I could probably relatively comfortably do it, but it would be.
Just a little kid.
Yeah, it'd be a little weird for sure.
But what I'm getting at is I think that there would be a fun dynamic, not necessarily bringing our exes in.
Oh my God.
But just to have conversations with other people, because a lot of people have a lot of things to say, and I think sometimes like even my dad's always joking. He's like, can I come on the podcast? But in hindsight, I'm like, it actually would be kind of fun for my dad to come on because he could give other perspectives of like me as a human. So you know what I mean? Or just in general. I don't know how the heck we'd set it up, but
that's the problem. There's no way to set it up.
I know.
What we've talked about before, I think at some point we will modify this space and make it like more of a roundtable thing.
Well, a lot of people listen to podcasts because they want to listen to the other person that's on it. And they want, to get a deeper insight on who they are. And I'm sure our listeners now know who we are 100%. So it might be kind of nice to have other people come on and, you know what I mean?
It's actually pretty crazy that we've gone 40 of these and can just shoot the shit, like never plan anything and just keep rocking it.
I know Matt walked into him like, you got anything to say, huh? And he's like, nope.
It ends up being a great episode though. So what time is it here? We got like 15 minutes. Do you want to dink around with these cards? Just keep having live chats here.
Oh, well, this is kind of fun. So Kai and I were at home.
Is it? Give me an example of one.
Which?
Like, okay, so I have a you, me thing. Obviously,
so which of us has the better sense of humor? For sure, me.
You? Yeah. But our sense of humor only works with each other, I think. You know what? I think that's an even. I feel like you and I are like good together, humor-wise.
Which of us is the bigger worrier? You have to hold it up at the same time. Yeah, see? You, me, yeah. And maybe we should show the camera for people that do watch. You are definitely the bigger worrier of the two. Yeah,
you don't worry about anything. It's actually crazy / commendable.
No.
You just go with the wind in life.
Yes and no.
It's a big part of the reason I love you so much.
I know.
It really is.
Yes and no. I think that I actually think I've spent many years of my life being very in my own world. And we've joked about this even from the start of the podcast. Sheridan's in her little bubble. And I know it's a lot of the reason why you love me. But I think as I'm getting older and as I'm learning more about the world, I know I've said this before on episodes before, when we've talked about my dad. And I say when 9/11 happened, he realized like the world's actually a really shitty place. And I just used to say that. It used to just come out of my mouth and I kind of use it as an example to explain my dad. But now I get it. Like when I say it, I'm like, I get it. Like I understand now that he was like, kind of like me. My dad and I are so similar, just like living whatever. And then that happened. And he was like, oh my God, the world is on fire,
Yeah.
And I think that that's over the last couple of years, obviously, and I mean, I'm not going to get controversial here, but just with everything that has happened.
Do it.
Just with everything that's happened and gone on in life, I get it now. And I'm like, I don't feel like I live in my bubble as much as I did. And I'm scared and I'm worried and I'm anxious and I'm all these things for our kids, for us, you know? So sorry, Matt.
What?
I still try my best to kind of just like, you know, not worry, but I definitely do much more than I ever did. Even a lot about death. A lot about dying. I think before I had kids and it was like, you know, of course I thought about dying and I'm like, if I die, that sucks, obviously. But now I'm like, if I die, like I can't, you know what I mean? Like there's so much, like I have kids, you know what I mean? Like I think about it so much more than I ever did. So yes, no, I'm not as big of a worry as you, but I certainly have
I'm trying to worry less.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to care less about stuff.
Yeah.
I really am. I don't
A
know
lot
if
of
you've
things
noticed
that aren't in your control, right? Like things that you can't control.
There's just certain things that are just like, it's so out of control in my life.
Right.
Why let it drag my mood down and ruin my existence on this planet when I've been so freaking privileged and fortunate to have this rockin' life over here? Imagine if I let the whole world drag my rockin' life down and I don't even use the gift I was given of an awesome life.
No, I get that too. And I understand that too. And it's like you could die tomorrow, right? And it's like you want to make the best of what you have right now.
Ears pierced.
Yeah.
I'm just living my life.
Which one of us is more up to date with current affairs? Yeah.
It's me.
Which one of us is more
you have to remember that people are listening.
You're right,
and way
it's
more
Matt.
are listening.
Okay, yeah. Which one of us is more likely to swear they saw a UFO?
Definitely me.
Yeah. Matt, hold it up. It's cute.
No one. We're a podcast, Sheridan.
Which one
Sheridan's
of us
holding up cardboard that no one can see?
Which one of us is more likely to lie about how much their outfit costs?
That's probably actually me as well.
At this moment, but for many years, it was definitely me. Remember that time when?
Oh my God! What?
No, the time when I came out of the mall, I'll never forget, and I had my own visa. Remember? And I came out and I had bought like boots or something, and you're like, "Where did you buy those from?" Don't you remember that? And I was like,
vaguely.
And you're like, what did you buy those on? And I was like, our visa. And you're like, show me. Because obviously I didn't want you to see the boots and I used my own visa.
Low-key had a secret visa.
Yeah, I totally did. I had a secret visa. I don't anymore. We're all up to date here.
But you're acting like I was grilling you about it though. What happened was you were getting all this shit.
Yeah.
And I monitor the money.
Right.
And it's not like I'm weird about it. I wasn't seeing anything happening on our card. And I'm like, where did the boots come from? And you were like, I have a visa. I'm like, what? Wait, what? Where?
Yeah, what visa, Sheridan? Oops. Yeah, we're good now.
Yeah, we're good. Storm marriage.
Okay, which one of us has the smellier feet? You for sure. You.
I was gonna say you.
You don't smell my feet to know. I just feel like your feet would be smelly.
You just
give off smelly feet
you
vibes.
have aromatic vibes to everything about you though. Sheridan's farts.
Matt.
Brutal.
How dare you?
But you never fart anymore. It's weird. Since you had the third baby, it's like your fart pipe is different now or something.
That's a fantastic point.
You never do. You used to all the time so I could feel normal around you.
I used to have serious IBS. And I think that maybe I still do, but I also think that having the kids, it's like it rewired my whole insides. It doesn't make any sense. Like I'm still gassy, but certainly not the way I was.
No, you're not.
Weird. Which one of us has better table manners? I feel like that's pretty equal.
Yeah.
I'm also kind of
when you're at the table, if ever. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Do you want to talk about that, Matt?
Yeah. No, I don't.
Which of us has the sweeter tooth? You.
Really?
But now me.
Yeah, it's you now. For sure.
I would say.
You probably may have been me before, but.
I definitely think, like, I don't know this to be a fact, but I think that, like, the more you eat something, the more you become obsessed with it. Yeah. And when you kind of get it out of your taste buds, you don't crave it the way that you did, right? Yeah. So I imagine you don't crave sweets the way that you used to.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
It actually, like, the you taste things different.
Right.
Like, when you start cutting out, like, processed foods and sugar and stuff, it actually, like, I think it's the same thing when you quit smoking too. There's like something that's coming off your tongue and your taste buds react different.
Yes.
So anyway.
Which one of us has the most obscure taste in music?
It would be me. I listen to everything.
Yeah, I agree.
Sharon's over there like Zach Bryan. And the other
Alexa, play Sam Hunt, play Zach Bryan, play the Lumineers.
Yeah. Rotates between the three.
Which one of us is the biggest caffeine
you know
lover?
what? On the music thing, though, we should tell everyone right now. There's this new artist that I found the other day. His name is Teezo Touchdown. Teezo Touchdown. Check out his new album. The one where he's got like the glitter bomb on the front and the face paint on. Oh my God. The album's 10 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
You would still enjoy it. It's on constantly
It's
playing in the
amazing.
truck.
Like it's all I listen to right now. Teezo Touchdown.
Which of us is the biggest caffeine lover? Definitely me, 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
I drink lattes and coffee all day, every day. Love.
Yeah.
Which of us is the most materialistic? That would be you. I don't think I'm materialistic. Yeah. And I don't find you overly are either, but I'm not in the slightest.
But okay, so sure I like material things, but I also wouldn't classify myself as like a shallow material person.
No, I agree.
Like the things that I have is not for status. I use all of it. Like every single thing that I own, and I think, and I love this about myself. If I buy something, I actually use it.
I agree.
Find one thing in this house that I've bought and don't use every day of my life.
Yes. No, but I don't. I agree with you. I hear you. I think that we're at like an age now where we buy things that are more expensive because you're going to get more use out of them, right?
Yeah,
and they're going to last
anymore.
longer,
Yeah.
right? Because you're lucky and you can afford to buy things like that.
Yeah.
Whereas me, I don't think that there's ever been like a thing where I'm like, oh, I really, really want that. Do you think? Have you ever thought of me like that? Like you want your hats?
No,
you
don't care about stuff like that. It's another thing I like about you.
There's just
because
nothing.
I've been in relationships before where it was very much like that, and I love that you just don't care about anything. She just wants the laundry room clean.
Which of
no,
us?
I don't know. I'm not trying to diss you by saying that.
I know.
I admire so much your
understand.
lack of giving a shit about anything. It's occasionally, like 5 times a year, it drives me nuts. But then the other gazillion times a year, I'm just like, I love that you don't bring that drama and unnecessary fluff into our life.
I also... Like the other day when we went to the Valley for your Christmas party of 4.
Yeah.
I went to this store and I love this store and there were these jeans and I was like, I really want new jeans. So I'm going to try on some jeans. And like usually I'm going to Old Navy, Dynamite, and they're like $50, you know. These jeans were $135. And I was like I actually thought about it and sat in the change room for like a solid 10 minutes. I was like, oh, that's a lot of money. Ooh, you know what I mean? And then I was like, I'm doing it. I'm buying them. And I keep wearing them.
And you'll wear them all the time, won't you? Because they're probably better quality. They'll last.
Yeah. But it was such a hard thing for me to be like, just do it. Just buy them, you know? I don't know where that comes from, but hey, I have it.
You know what's really funny? I'll go out and spend like, I'm not even going to say numbers on here. It's embarrassing. But the amount of money I've spent on off-road equipment and stuff is absurd. But then like, if you put me in a place and have to buy like a pair of socks or something, like I'm in there with Theodore, look at the Nike socks, I'm like,
$30,
$13.99.
Yeah, right.
I get the no names for $8.99.
Right.
I'm like, what the
right.
Like, dude, we're
I
talking
agree.
about an amount
I
you spent
agree.
on a latte
I'm
this
afraid
morning,
of
but
that.
I won't do it.
I know, it's so weird.
It's so weird.
Which of us is more likely to take home hotel toiletries? That would be me, I feel.
Take home? You steal toiletries from hotels?
It's not a steal. You can obviously take the little mini shampoo and conditioner bottles. What do you mean?
Okay.
They don't replenish
I thought you were in there
those.
like taking toilet paper and stuff.
Okay, that's also something I would do.
Oh my God.
If we had none at home, I would take a couple
Wow.
rolls. So wouldn't you? Which of us is more likely to laugh at someone falling over? Definitely. Definitely Matt.
I'm laughing at the thought of someone falling over right now.
I would laugh too, but you would be you would laugh more than I would.
Oh, there's people out there that would hate you for doing. Okay. We have to rephrase this.
Okay.
If I was walking down the road and saw a woman fall in the street, I
Yes,
would not laugh at all.
of course.
I would run over and help that person.
Of course.
But if it's like a YouTube fail video
Right.
or something like that, it's like
Right.
100% in stitches. That's my kind of humor. But in real life, not behind a glass
Even though they're
screen.
miserable on the YouTube screen, but just some funny music and you're happy about it, yeah. Right.
But yeah, in real life, I feel like I would feel terrible for that person. It'd be awful.
Which of us is more likely to keep a secret? I think that's me. Matt's like, what do you got?
Yeah.
What do you got to say?
Well, I've never kept a secret. Ever. my
Matt
dad.
is so bad at keeping surprises too. Like it's like you can't keep it, but also I'm a little nosy. But keeping a secret, I'd say, is me. And this actually makes me think of just one point I want to bring up. And this is just something I want to say. When your children tell you not to tell anybody else, including the other parent, and it's not something that's life-changing and super important, don't tell the other parent. Keep that secret and keep that trust for your child so they don't feel like all of a sudden if I tell mom something or if I tell dad something that the whole family is going to know.
Yeah, it's a good point.
And it is a really good point because even if it's something not super serious, they feel like they can trust you now. And well, not that they couldn't, but you've made that trust even better.
Trust,
yeah. And that's super important.
Okay, put the cards away. This episode's over. The last thing I want to say.
Well, which one of us is more likely to forget an anniversary? I feel like that's you. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't remember that kind of stuff. I'll remember our marriage, but that's about it.
When were we married?
August 16th. Or was it 17th?
No.
That was the 16th and the party was the 17th. That's what it is.
You're right.
The last thing that I wanted to say is you and I watched a banger movie the other night.
We did.
Tell people about
I
it.
knew you were going to want to end it on a movie because you love talking about movies. You should have your own little side podcast of just Matt rating movies. You love movies.
I love a lot of things.
But you love talking about movies.
I do love movies.
Yeah.
So Sheridan and I watched what, Sheridan?
Gran Turismo. Did I say it right?
Sure.
How do you say it?
I always said Turismo, but I could be wrong.
I have no idea because I've never even heard of the game before.
Turismo?
I'd never heard of the game.
Okay.
So Kaya and I were in the theaters because one of my all-time favorite activities to do ever is to go to the movie theater. I'm not kidding. Alone with somebody doesn't matter. The vibes
let me jump in for a sec. Sharon's favorite thing to do is eat buttered popcorn, and then the movie's just a part of that.
You cannot bring me to the theater and have me have a different snack. It's the whole experience. Walking into the theater, smelling the buttered popcorn, getting my delightful treats, watching the trailers, getting into the zone. I friggin' love the movie theaters. I'm telling you, if you were to ask me my favorite activity, the movies.
Okay, so if you're getting a bag of popcorn, what's the other thing you grab?
Diet Coke, obviously.
And
well, unfortunately, they don't have peanut
M&Ms anymore. If you say anything other than Maltesers, it's the wrong answer.
They don't have peanut M&Ms anymore, which is very disappointing. So now I usually go Reese's Pieces. And now that we're on this topic, I think I'm going to go see a movie by myself tonight. Are you okay?
No, you're not. You're absolutely not.
No, but we saw whatever Matt's going to call it, Gran Turismo.
Gran Turismo.
And that is a game, right? Like it's a
video game.
Right. And when I was with Kaya in the theater, we kept seeing that trailer pop up because we go to movies as frequently as we can. And I was like, I want to see this. And anytime it's based on a true story and it's like sports related and the music and all this stuff, I'm watching it. So I'm so surprised I didn't go and see it. But then it popped up the other day when we were looking for a movie downstairs. And we threw it on. Kaya was with us, and it was so good.
It was amazing. So, okay, so I'm going to keep this spoiler free, but just say one thing about it. So it's a true, and I had never heard this before. And I play Gran Turismo all the time. Like when I was a kid growing up, I would play it. And Gran Turismo is like the most realistic racing simulator that's ever been created. Mm-hmm. So like I want to say, and don't quote me on this, there's about 1,000 cars in the game. And every single car behaves how it would in real life. Like everything right down to a Honda Civic, a Honda CRX, like an Acura Integra, right up to like a Lamborghini, like, and everything in between. They have all the cars in there, and the suspension and the wheels and the transmission, everything behaves like it would in real life. Okay. So this is a true story of some kid that was so good at the game that he got an opportunity to race in real life for Nissan. And that's all in like the first 10 minutes of the game, the movie. So I didn't ruin anything, but that's kind of the premise. And it's crazy. Amazing. It's
a really, really, really good movie. And it's just a feel-good movie. And those are my personal favorite. Yeah. It was just so awkward. Like, man, that was good.
If I was rating that movie, I'd give it a 10. It had everything. It had everything. It was the right length of time. If you could
Something very important for me to ask you, though, is would it have been that awesome if you were not watching it in our playroom with the big TV? And
no, you need the surround sound and stuff. The sound is a big part of it. Like when they're shifting gears with those V8 engines and shit blasting fire out of the pipes and like
that's an important thing to say though, because if you're just watching it on
if you have a 32-inch and no surround sound,
if we were watching up in Kaya's room, it's like okay, like you need the full experience
sound,
and it's no longer in the movie theater. So you guys can all come over and watch it in our room.
Literally, let's have a movie night. No, it was really good though. Like I think it had the right amount of everything. amazing. And like, I'm sure there's critics out there that'd be like, oh my God, there was no backstory, 6 out of 10. But like, the movie was fun.
I agree.
I picked my phone up maybe once in a 2-hour movie. Like,
I even noticed how into it you were because it's hard to find. And I chose the movie. And usually when I choose a movie, I'm like, Matt's going to, zone out and do his own thing. But you were into it right away.
It was so good.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah.
And you know what? What's kind of funny? It's one of the only movies I may have ever seen in my life where the love story took such a backseat.
Oh, it didn't even matter.
There was a bit of a love story there, but like...
No, but the love story was between the coach and the guy. Like, their friendship love story. No, but
don't forget the girl. There is a girl.
Sure, but I'm saying...
in every other movie in the history of mankind, they'd be banging at some point and had to cover Kaya's eyes and everything. Right. It was just a wholesome movie. There was like a little dancing in a club at one point, but it wasn't about that. Yeah. You're right. It was the love story of the coach and the friggin' awesome
Just watch
movie.
it. Watch it.
So good.
Love you guys. See you next week. Bye.
Peace.
It's the Two Gems Podcast.